Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Coast to Coast Combat Hour. I'm your host, Matthew Hawkins, and as always, I'm joined by my co host, Ed Carbajal. Weekly, we are brought to you by AllAccessMMA.com. Check out AllAccessMMA.com for our video podcast, MMA news, and MMA stories. Ed, how's my East Coast brother doing this week?
Doing pretty good. I actually had a chance to talk to the East Coast Invicta FC Atomweight champion for MyMMAnews.com. So if you didn't check that out yet over at MyMMAnews.com, make sure you go read the article I wrote on her, and the link to her interviews will be in the description of this here on YouTube here in the description. But it was I talked to her the day after UFC Vegas, whatever, where Max Holloway won the main event. And I found it kind of funny that when the media asked Max Holloway, Dana White about doing something nice for Max Holloway, like having a UFC card in Hawaii, he said that the UFC couldn't get a deal done. And it feels like nobody in attendance bothered to say, but Bellator's been there like 3 or 4 times. Matter of fact, they're going to be there this weekend holding 2 events yet again. So I just thought it was funny that question came up on the week that Bellator is actually going to be in Hawaii again with two events, but for some reason the biggest promotion can't seem to get a deal done in Hawaii.
Does it bother you, or I mean, I know it doesn't bother you. It doesn't bother me either. But don't you find it strange that nobody in that room sits there and says that and lets him? I mean, calls him out. Like at least, I mean, there's reasons.
Yeah.
Okay, there could be some reasons why the UFC is not in Hawaii, right? Like they don't have a huge sports arena. The Blaisdell Arena is like 8,000 seats, so it's not suitable per se for a pay-per-view. And running an outside event in Hawaii takes some logistical issues in the weather there. If you've ever been to Hawaii or you know about Hawaii, obviously it rains a lot, even year round. So there is some issues to be said with that, with potentially trying to run a show there. But it would be nice to hear that as opposed to we just can't get a deal done. How about like they don't have an arena big enough, outdoor shows too risky for us. We're too big of a promotion. We charge too much for tickets. We can't afford to have people sitting under a monsoon. Let's break it down. Other than we just can't get a deal done. It's hard to get a deal done in Hawaii. Well, obviously it's not hard to get a deal done. It's just not easy to get a deal done if you want to try to run a mega pay-per-view. But nobody's asking for that. I don't understand if they have half their shows are in the Apex anyway. Half of them are in an arena. When they do a show like in San Diego and stuff, you're looking at like 9,000, 10,000 people. So 8,000 people, is not out of the question. Not to mention, you could run back-to-back events as Bellator has done multiple times. So you essentially could do a whole weekend in Hawaii and have 2 shows and, have 2 of your, cards and still get 16,000 people in the arena, as far as gate goes. Plus you can charge more for tickets if it's a smaller venue. That's kind of the other thing. Like most people don't have a problem paying more money if you have a better seat. So there's some things, but it would be nice if the media would just go, hey, like you understand that like your top competition is running a double header there this weekend, and they've done it I think 3 or 4 years in a row now, and it's gone off pretty much without a hitch, and seems to be successful for Bellator.
Yeah, it's like one of their marquee events. Yeah.
So that's odd. Obviously coming off the Holloway win, Max Holloway looked great. I don't know if you caught the fight or not.
I did. I mean, it went as I expected. The high volume, lots of damage, lots of output. Dana White seemed critical of Allen when that he didn't turn it on. He turned it on. He turned up his aggression too late or whatever. But I mean, at least he was humble enough to say that he's not a fighter or a cornerman, and he wasn't going to be too judgmental about it. But just to backtrack on the Hawaii thing with the UFC, Trent Rainsmith of Bloody Elmo actually wrote a pretty good piece after he did his finger shaking at the media in house, which deserved it, like you mentioned. But he always does his research and his homework. So apparently in 2018, when the UFC wanted to hold an event in 2018, the deal that they couldn't get done was because the UFC demands a $6 million site fee, or demanded a $6 million site fee. And this is on the Rain Smith's piece over at bloodyelbow.com. And so of course, Rain Smith reaches out to the Hawaii Tourism Authority office to find out, the story behind it. And they just said that's too much. Like, they have all these football things there. Nobody ever asked for that much, but for some reason the UFC asked for that much. And so that's the deal that can't get done. It's not because of he made it sound like it's Hawaii being mean to the UFC, and it's definitely seems to be the other way around. Not mean, but like, come on, bro. Let's, because they countered with $1 million offer when they asked for 6, and the UFC didn't want to do it. So it's not it's not Hawaii's fault that the UFC doesn't go there.
No, but as we mentioned, Bellator can go there. They will go there. They have been there, and they're there this weekend. Had the weigh-ins today. Always a day of interest for any fight fan. And as par kind of for the course, we had some things kind of go wild. Chris Lencioni missed weight by about 6-7 pounds. There was another fight, I believe. Not seeing it listed right now, but
here we go. The main event, Deanna Bennett weighed in at 126.2. Officially missed weight for her bout against Liz Carmouche. Carmouche chose to keep her title on the line for the bout tomorrow, which we were just talking about before we started recording, and then so if she loses, the flyweight title becomes vacant. Odd move. But
odd move. Odd move to basically defend the title against yourself. Doesn't make a lot of sense. She obviously has the utmost confidence in herself, but turns the division into a wacky situation if she were to lose the title. Also, it's like the 5th time Deanna Bennett's missed weight, and multiple times I think even against Carmouche. So I don't even. It's a bad matchmaking. Call it what it is. We like Bellator, but it's a bad matchmaking thing. Rewarding somebody who's missed weight so many times with a title shot when they have to exactly hit 125. Probably not the best. Smartest move, and probably hopefully won't happen again. I like Bennett. She's funny. She can have some exciting fights, but missing weight over and over and over again definitely is not something that professionally just is weak.
Yeah.
So
still we got some fun fights ahead of us.
Oh, yeah. That's not ruining the whole weekend. That's for sure. And that fight's still happening. So if you're someone who really doesn't give a crap about the belts, which, they're kind of just trophies for the night, it really doesn't make a whole lot of difference. They're still going to fight. Nobody's really been a bitch about 1 pound in as far as, if Bennett wins the fight, she's just going to end up rematching her and hopefully will make weight. But, it'll be a circus sideshow that we'll hear nonstop about Bellator. So we know how to expect that. But ton of good fights on the main card.
Yeah, the fights of note. Obviously, I've interviewed Arlene Blancow a bunch of times. She's ranked number 2 or 3 at the Bellator rankings. Off the top of my head, she's introducing formerly of the UFC Sarah McMahon at Hawaii in this event. Everyone knows McMahon's got a strong wrestling base, and Blankow's gone toe to toe with Cyborg twice and fell short. Came close. I think she did well the last time they fought, but so this is a little funny. I tried getting the conversation with her, but oddly enough, she got back to me. When did she get back to me? She was already in Hawaii. And when I emailed her, I tried to get her before she went to Hawaii when she was still in at Jackson Wink in New Mexico. And I wrote her an email, and she wrote me back, but she forgot to hit send. and that interview didn't happen because of that. But that's technology. You have a fight in front of you, and you have some tough customer in Sarah McMahon. I don't blame her for that. So I hope she wins so I can get the winner interview. And it looks like the fans are leaning towards McMahon in that fight, but it should be a good fight. It's a wrestler versus striker, mainly boxing, but I would think after going against Cyborg 2 times and training at Jackson Wing, she's probably trained takedown defense a lot. So
I think the fans are going with Sarah McMahon because she's coming over from the UFC.
yeah,
I'm picking Blenko to win. I think that I think her being more of a natural featherweight will
mm-hmm.
play a big role in this fight. McMahon, I believe, without double checking it, fought every one of her fights at 135 in the UFC.
Hmm.
So she's coming over to fight 145, which tells me she's basically coming over to perhaps coast a little bit. I mean, I get that could be wrong. Maybe she'll come in looking extremely healthy and look great, but
Mm-hmm.
the fact she's not coming in, at a smaller weight class, um, I guess we don't have 135 women, so you're kind of stuck there at 145 or 125. But um, I think Blenko might be too big, and I think that she might get taken down. But I think over 3 rounds, I think she'll wear down McMahon.
Yeah, I feel
McMahon,
like a lot of those shots, any of those shots that find their mark are probably going to hurt more than she's used to getting hurt.
yeah. So another fight on the card, Danny
mm-hmm.
Sabatello.
Mm-hmm.
Coming off of his loss to Rufian Stotts. But obviously he's got the the over the top interviews, mic skills.
Mm-hmm.
But he's also shown some tremendous wrestling. Stotts obviously showed him there's some levels to this in their last fight, but I think he gets back on the winning track here. I think he is a special talent.
Yeah.
I don't know if he'll ever be a world champion, because you get to the top couple in the world, you're dealing with some serious killers, but I do think that he has all the tools to beat the hell out of a lot of people, or at least wrestle the hell out
Yeah.
of a lot of
I
people.
like
So
that he's fighting on Friday because Stotts and Mix are fighting on Saturday, and he's obviously gonna, if he comes out on top of this fight, which obviously the fans are leaning towards Sabatello. If he comes out on top of this and he's present in Hawaii still for the next night, we're gonna get some
I'm
nice
sure.
sound bites out of that. Yeah, because he'll be
Yeah,
watching them fight and have something to say to the winner. I'm sure of it.
you
Uh,
know. And going
this.
back the other way, got a big heavyweight fight.
Oh,
Tim Johnson, Syed Soma. You know, Tim Johnson's obviously been on a nice little downhill run. His last handful of fights, Soma's suffered a couple tough split decision losses. Um, but not really gonna make a pick on this fight per se. But I think I think it's gonna be it'll be a true heavyweight fight. I don't
yeah.
think it'll be a boring heavyweight fight. So
No,
that's
we're
about
gonna.
kind of what you just gotta hope for. And looks like the fans are leaning Johnson. I
Yeah.
think that's natural again. His UFC pedigree behind him. Um, I don't know how much he's. I don't know. I mean, once the guy starts losing a handful in a row, you kind of start to wonder where they're mentally. Soma, like I said, has lost some close decisions, but to some tough competition, and he's a little younger, maybe a little more
Mm-hmm.
hungry you know to make sure that he pulls out a win here. So I lead Soma, just kind of going by that logic, but I think it's going to be a good fight, a fun back and forth heavyweight fight.
Yeah, it's funny. Like you took the words right out of my mouth because, like, when I looked at this fight, as I was looking at it on Tapology earlier today, and I was just like, you know what, this is just going to be one of those heavyweight fights where, like, whatever the result, it's definitely going to make the social media highlights because somebody's going to get like hit hard and dropped, and obviously the main event we talked about. I mean, with the weigh and miss and everything, and the fact that they fought before, I just, it's hard not to pick Carmouche
I think
to win.
Carmouche wins. I think her strength of wrestling is the same thing that kind of hurts Bennett. So I think she wins. I think it's probably not the most exciting fight in the world. You know, uh, you know, I Is this a salute? I wonder, is this a salute to the troops kind of card? Is that what we're doing here again? Is that, do you know off the top of your head, or have you seen anything in there? I didn't look for
I,
ticket sales
I
because
feel like they said it when they initially announced it. They kind of said that, but I haven't seen anything else with it. I already closed
if
my
you click
press
on that
release.
ticket link on there on the screen, top left,
Let's see.
does it offer you tickets for that fight? VIP seating. General. Okay, so it's
Yeah,
not the true. Well, that's the Stotts mix. Scroll back up,
yeah.
or
So
it's going. Can you click on it on the bottom left there on the little logo?
this one here.
No, the one that says Ben Carmouche Burnett, where it's upcoming events down below. That
Oh yeah, because that's for Dublin. Yeah.
it's scrolling through there. See VIP seating. So it might only be VIP and troops
Mm.
for that card, which goes back to it being
I mean, it
the
is like
troop night.
days before too. So
Yeah, but usually, so I mean, I would expect it to kind of be the troop card. It makes sense why Carmouchigan is headlining. This how she won the title. Same kind of scenario. So
Mhm. Real quick before we move off of this card, I mean the undercard is also Tyrell Fortune's
Kenny
on there.
Cross,
Kenny
former
Cross,
guest of the show.
former guest of the show and XFC, like he was one of the guys trains with Kenny Cross. He's fighting actually Khalees Mata, who I think I remember I talked to him years ago because he fought over at Victory, if I'm not mistaken. I'd have to check my old notes, but like you said, Kenny Cross, trains with Bobby Nash, who's been on the podcast too, is making his Bellator debut, I think, in Chicago soon. So we got to have him back on. But yeah, there's just a bunch of like Tyrell Fortune versus Sergey. I feel like this is going to be another heavyweight bout that's like, going to be a short one. um, and then obviously this is Chris Lencioni's second fight back since he took his hiatus from MMA and Bellator. Not MMA in particular, but mostly Bellator. So that's the Friday night card. So it's actually a pretty. I find the card to be pretty well stacked, and I think it's going to be fun. Um, we'll move into 295, which is the next night,
The
Saturday
Saturday
night.
night card is where a lot of the is one I'm interested in. I mean, it's the deeper card. It's the ticket they're selling tickets to, and they're gonna and it's Saturday night. I mean, just look at the main card. I mean, when you kick off with Ray Borg making his
Yeah.
Bellator debut against the great Kyoji Horiguchi. I mean, it's amazing how many of these fights I just didn't know was happening until I kind of just looked at the card. I had seen that one over time, but you kind of forget, slips my mind.
Hmm.
Um, Borg's had a couple nice performances post UFC in Eagle FC. I believe he fought Gibson, where he had a hell of a fight. But you know, uh, I got to go with Haraguchi, and it looks like the fans are pretty much almost unanimous on that
Yeah.
call as well. But again, we're back to flyweight, so that's good. That's good
Yeah.
for Horiguchi. He's back to his normal weight class, and maybe not so good for Borg.
Yeah. I mean, like you said, I mean, if that's kicking off, that's it's just I don't know. I don't know. It's the fact that more people weren't talking about this. This event is crazy to me. But
Yeah,
that's
because Borg wasn't kicked out of the UFC for performance per se. He had trouble making weight.
yeah.
And that was his issue. So hopefully tomorrow's the weigh-in for this event. So hopefully, we don't, jinx anything here. But if
Hmm.
he makes weight, that's going to be a good fight.
Yeah.
And Horiguchi's, I mean, he's got 35 fights. Age aside, it adds up. There's mileage on there when you fought 35 times, so it'll be, and he's got to keep on the win streak. After a couple of the tough losses, if he wants to get back at Stotts or Sergio Pettis or Mix, depending on another shot at Mix and Pettis actually. But he's got to obviously pick up a win here, and he becomes one of the top contenders in that weight class, along with potentially Sabatello, as you mentioned.
Yeah. And then we have Aaron Pico making his return after he tried to pop his own loose shoulder back in place. He got the surgery, seems to be 100% ready to go. Grew a full beard and goatee. Doesn't even look like himself on fight week. Taking on James Gonzalez. I mean, I'm just happy to see this kid back in the cage again. Even when that last fight when that happened, I was so impressed with his the fact that he tried to pop it back himself and keep fighting. It just shows you the they're not like regular people. These people that choose to do this for a living, and he's so young. It's just like the competitor mindset. I feel like he's just on a different level, and he's like destined to hold gold one day in in MMA.
Yeah, yeah, no, I think so too. I'll be curious to see. Hopefully, this shoulder thing is a one time
Yeah.
incident.
It's too bad
He
Kevin Nicholson's not watching. I'd like him to chime in to let us know, but maybe I'll shoot him a message. Maybe he should tweet about that because I know he does updates too.
Yeah, I mean, I got to pick Pico. I
Mm-hmm.
think if all things are well and he's healthy and I still think he's one of the best. It's hard to say prospects at this point. It seems like it's been when did that happen? We're like what 5-6 years into his career now.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but you know,
Rocky. It's been
yeah,
Rocky too. Yeah.
there's been a lot of ups and downs,
Yeah.
but I do think that if he manages to stay healthy,
Mm-hmm.
he still has all the tools to hurt a lot of people.
For sure. He's definitely got the power to hurt a lot of people. All right, that's one thing. Like you said, I hope his power hasn't suffered because it wasn't his shoulder. Um, And then we have Elimele McFarlane, the one of the people that used to carry these events on her shoulders. She's probably going to pack the house still, facing Kana Watanabe. This seems like another Ryzen Bellator, like under the radar, like kind of like not official, but um fighting a flyweight feature bout. Um, McFarlane trying to get her way back to herself, back to a title again. But yeah, it should be a fun fight. I don't see her losing in her home turf, but there's definitely some potential to. It's almost 50. Well, it's 57% fans have her versus Watanabe's 42%. So I don't know. I mean, I like Alima, so I'm hoping she wins.
Yeah, both these girls got on my bad side when they managed to beat Alejandra Lara, but um, you know, but with that said, yeah, I'm gonna go with Alimale. I think I think being in Hawaii might simply be the crowd push and the that might be enough to push her over the top. I think it's pretty damn even fight though. I mean, the
Mm-hmm.
57-42 is essentially a coin flip. We're not kind of splitting hairs a little bit there. Who knows how many people are actually voting? So we could only be talking a matter of a couple people.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but I think Alimale wins. If this fight was taking place in Japan, like you said, on a Rising card or something, or
Yeah.
even just a Bellator, Japan, I might go the other way for partially the same reason. But I think Alimale, it's hard to pick against her in Hawaii.
Yeah.
If you did, and she won, and you'd feel like a fool for falling for it. So I think she wins. I think it's probably a good grappling match. I think there's probably
Mm-hmm.
some good transitions and potential, good potential for that. Hopefully, it
Mm-hmm.
doesn't neutralize each other, and they end up kind of just, neither of them are brutal strikers. So,
Yeah.
kind of hoping for some scrambles and
I mean,
some
if I had to give the edge to striking to anybody, I would give it to Lee Malay too, though, because I remember when I talked to her years ago over here at Mohegan Sun, she was kind of like hinting that like too many people sleep on her striking. So if there's an edge there, I would give it to her too. But the bantamweight World Grand Prix fight is definitely one that, again, with this division in Bellator, I always thought they had the best 135ers as long as I've been watching MMA. And I'm not surprised that the fans are leaning towards Patchy Mix. I am as well. However, I think because Stotts, he's like Sabatello, with he's very good on the mic too. Sometimes that distracts you, makes you forget that they're actually good fighters and martial artists too. And Stotts isn't where he's at because he didn't surprise us in the past. So I wouldn't be surprised if he can counter Pat Mix's grappling. But Mix has been putting in a lot of really good time training with some really good people. He read off a laundry list of names on media day yesterday that I was just like, wow. I mean, you were already good before you started training with those dudes. He mentioned like Gary Tonin and like real strong grapplers, JT Torres, Jake Shields, obviously, and a bunch of others. So I wouldn't be surprised if it is, even if it's all control. I wouldn't be surprised if Mix pulls it out. But I think Stotts likes to pull a rug out from folks too.
Yeah, I mean 19-1, 17-1. It's a pretty good matchup record wise. You don't see that all that often. I said it on the show when he did it. I picked the double Megomed to beat Mix last time, and when Mix beat the double Megomed, I said I'll never pick against a Mix Apache.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna go with Mix to win. Huge bantamweight. I think that's honestly gonna be something that's gonna just carry him for quite a while, especially as he ages and really builds into everything. I think he has a lot of potential as long as he can keep making one. He's only 29 years old, so he's really just kind of in his prime right now. But I think he wins. I think he uses his size, and I think I think it's a hell of a fight, though. I mean, you said the fans were leading towards him.
Yeah, they have him at 58% of the fans are picking
58
Mix.
to 40. I guess he got a couple 2% on the draw.
Mm-hmm.
Hopefully that doesn't happen. We need this title. We need this belt to get handed out, the $1 million to get handed out, and get on with the rest of the division. You got Sergio Pettis fighting Pitbull now. So you got some things in the works to set up some really kind of super fights if they all go down. But I'll pick Patchy Mix, and but this is a hell of a fight. I'm actually going to the Laker game Saturday night, so I'm going to probably miss this, or at least I'll be watching it in my seat at Crypto Arena. But I'll
that'd be one. Like if I did go out, I would be the guy in the corner on his phone.
Yeah, I'll be. So
thank God it's on Showtime. Like I have the app on my phone. I can literally watch it anywhere. So
nice. Just mentioning a couple other things this weekend. The UFC does have an event, and I know we don't normally talk the too much ESPN Plus cards, but it is a good heavyweight fight. I'm looking forward to Sergey Pavlovich versus Curtis Blades. I'm a fan of the heavyweight division. I know a lot of people aren't, but when two good, legit heavyweights are squaring off, I think it's a good fight. So I will also try to catch that one. And then we had mentioned the Bellator doubleheader. BKFC also comes back with a doubleheader this week. The makeup event, Bellator 38. So we're kind of going back in time here. Just had 39, but we're going back to 38 for an event that was postponed earlier in April. That's Dat Win versus Daniel Strauss, former Bellator champion. Heck of a fight. And then Saturday, that's Friday night. And then Saturday, 3 p.m. Eastern, noon Pacific, BKFC 40 from Leeds, England. So they're continuing their expansion and moving around. And then obviously next week, we have the big show out in Denver. So lots of action.
Really quick, the UFC event, the prelims start at 4 o'clock Eastern. For the folks that listen, I know there's folks from Jersey that listen to the podcast. Francis Marshall makes his return. He's out of Pellegrino MMA in out of South Jersey. He's fighting William Gomez. This is his second fight since he made his debut. So, all my Jersey jiu-jitsu heads that know Francis, that's one fight that I'm obviously going to be paying attention to. Francis was at my black belt ceremony, so I definitely when I got my black belt, he was there. So I definitely root for Francis Marshall. But yeah, I just wanted to mention that really quick before we before we
No, good
wrap it
side
up.
note. Before we sign off here, again, a reminder after the show on the audio version, stay tuned for Jillian DeCoursey interview. Invicta Atomweight world champion, really the Atomweight world champion of the world. And Ed has her week and a half, 2 weeks prior to her big showdown to defend her title in Invicta. So stay tuned for that. If you're looking to get any information on the show, check us out at Combat Hour on Twitter, Coast-to-Coast Combat Hour on Instagram. Follow me, Matthew Hawkins, at MMA Hawk 21 on Twitter and Instagram. Follow Ed at Carbazol on Twitter, Carbeerzol on Instagram, Old Head Carb on Twitch. And as always, you can check out our video podcast at allaccessmma.com, allaccessmma.com for our video podcast, MMA news, and MMA stories. Lots of action. 2 bare knuckle, 2 Bellator, nice heavyweight UFC fight along with Jersey boy, undefeated Jersey guy. So, and some other names too. The UFC card's not terrible, not the best, but there are some names on the card. So, lots of action.
Yeah. Plus, there's I think there's some big boxing going on too. If you're a boxing guy, Gervonta Davis, Ryan Garcia, I think.
Oh, that's right too. I'll be, man, I'm gonna have to bring an extra damn phone to the Lakers game. Oh shit! All right, well, go Lakers and have a good weekend, everybody.
Peace.